Hello. Welcome back to the Pink Floyd Completion Project. Today, we look at the 15th and final studio album by Pink Floyd. Today, we look at The Endless River. In 2008, Richard Wright passed away. Dave and Rick wondered what they could do, because there could not be another Floyd tour. There could not be another Richard Wright album. But 6 years later, in 2012, 4 years later, in 2012, they thought, well, when we made an album that was a tribute to Sid when he left, I believe we should make a tribute album to Rick. And that is what they did. And they went about it in a strange way, but not the worst way. They effectively decided this is going to be an instrumental album. This is the only Floyd album to be fully instrumental. Or not fully instrumental. Fully instrumental apart from one song. And it's okay. It's okay. It's not bad. It's not, great. It's definitely not the worst thing the Floyd has ever done, but it's certainly not the best thing they've ever done. But it begins with side one, Things Left Unsaid, which uses vocal samples of Dave, Nick, and Rick, all from the beginning of Live at Pompeii. There's segments of that movie that were filmed in studio. I have a review of that, of the live performance part of that album that I will link in the description below. But overall, it's a very ambient track that was very clearly written by Rick, with a bit of, Division Bell-esque acoustic guitar. It samples the acoustic guitar, or like that buzzy thing that it does on the Division Bell in a couple of songs. And then that's followed up by It's What We Do. It's a very Shine On You Crazy Diamond / Welcome to the Machine-esque song, but then the second half is more Division Bell-like, especially when Dave comes in with his guitar licks. These two songs so far, it's a very good way to start the album. And then number 3, Ebb and Flow, which could be a possible reference to On an Island, in terms of title, because On an Island has that one song that goes, ebb and flow, let it go. But it's alright. And it's essentially Things Left Unsaid Part 2. That's, all I really had to say about that one. And if you listen to this on Spotify, first of all, if you listen to this on Spotify, there's 3 songs after the final song that we'll be talking about that are bonus tracks. I do think those are okay. But if you listen to this on Spotify, everything is titled, the album is divided into 4 sides, which I find very weird because it's only 53 minutes. And Genesis managed to make that work on Selling England, but I understand why they did it. Because it is 4 pretty distinct sections of the album, even though there's distinct sections in and of those sections. But that was, the end of side 1. Number 4, is called Sum, S-U-N, it's S-U-M, sorry. It samples Cluster 1, and it's a very Floyd instrumental. It would have fit well on the Division Bell, which makes sense, because a lot of this is unused material from the Division Bell, and that's where the conflict that some people feel about this album comes from. Because on one hand, for some people, it doesn't really feel strong enough to be released as a standalone album, but as a, but at the same time, what were the Floyds? How were the Floyds supposed to release this stuff? Were they supposed to, release it on like some reissue of the Division Bell, for like the 20th anniversary? Because this came out in 2014. 20 years later. Um, like, so should they have released this as like disc 2 of the Division Bell, like bonus disc, like, or do you just make a new album so that more people listen to it? And there's merits to both decisions, but I will say my verdict on this: I'm happy. Like, I think it's better that we have this material than it just sitting in a vault somewhere. Like, I think it's better that we have the material than not. Yeah, Skins is Nick Mason's only drum solo that I can think of, and then Dave does some guitar licks at the end. But it's vastly Nick Mason drum solo, which is pretty cool. I can't think of a single, unless he did something on Ummagumma, which I prefer not to think about Ummagumma. Not even going to really listen to it for the ranking video. Not going to really listen to any of these for the ranking video. I pretty much know where I'm going to land. But yeah, Nick Mason drum solo, not something you really hear all that often. Unsung, it sounds very similar to Cluster 1. Like, very, very similar to Cluster 1. It almost could have been an add-on to Cluster 1. Anicina, however it's pronounced, it incorporates the violent sequence, which is the piano piece that plays under Us and Them. It's bum, 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 that bit. Incorporates the violent sequence, some lovely sax and slide guitar, and it's on par with Marooned, and it's got a fucking great David Gilmour guitar solo. This is a standout song from the album. There's a couple of standouts from this album, like that I do think would have worked pretty decently on the Division Bell. It's just that the Division Bell would be even longer than it already is. Not that I'm going to complain, because that album doesn't, feel its, hour 6 minute length, but maybe some of the addition of some of these songs might have made it feel like it would have gone up to like an hour and 14. It maybe would have felt like an hour and 14 with these on there. And then The Lost Art of Conversation, very, it's very emotional and jazzy. Like, I listened to it. It's very, very brief. I listened to it and I'm like, what the fuck? Why am I have so many emotions? Like, and it's, it's very jazzy, and the second half of it's very brief length. Song number 9 on Noodle Street, I wrote, if the Echoes Jam was written in 94. That's kind of what it reminded me of. That's like the only thing I could think to write. And then Nightlight, this is the third song in a row, like, along with Lost Art of Conversation and Noodle Street, to all be 1 minute and 42 seconds in length. And this section feels like something for Broken China. It's really weird that 3 songs in a row were all 1 minute and 42 seconds in length. I feel like they almost could have titled this all just one thing. I feel like they could have titled all 3 of those, either On Noodle Street or The Lost Art of Conversation, or even Nightlight. Like, all 3 of those would have worked. Like, but it's really weird, because if you put them together, I don't even think it makes it 7 minutes long. So it's really, really weird that they did that. I feel like this would have worked better almost as just a 7-minute piece, because this is the band that made Echoes. Echoes has very distinct musical segments, and they're not even separated on the back of the album cover. When you pick it up and look at it, it's just Echoes. So I don't know, weird decision, but no, all right. And then here comes Alonzi 1. Like, it's an awesome jam between Dave, Nick, and Rick. Like, this is another one of those these next 3 are all like a section that I think you should all listen to. In this order, no breaks. Um, like Alonzi 1, it's an awesome jam between Dave, Nick, and Rick. And then Autumn 68, the whole thing is a jizzworthy church organ solo from Rick. Like, I think it was recorded like on the On an Island tour, like or something, and it's clearly meant to invoke Summer 68 from Adam Hart Mother. But it's fucking awesome. It's fucking awesome. Like Rick just fucking goes off for like a minute and a half, and it's fucking awesome. And then Alonzi 2 is, see what I wrote for Alonzi 1. But those three, definitely listen to those three in that order, because it's really fucking cool. Like, that section of the album is really fucking cool. And then this is the end of side 3, Talkin' Hawkin'. This feels like a good companion piece to Keep Talking. I don't think the Division Bell would have been better for it, but I don't think I would have complained either. But yeah, Talkin' Hawkin' exists. And then the beginning of Here We Are, side 4, Calling, this also, this is another one that feels like something from Broken China. And in fact, Alonzi, there was a moment on Broken China that I was listening to. I don't remember the song title. But when I was listening to Broken China, I was just like, wait, this feels like, like this almost sounds like Alonzi from Broken China. Like, a lot of Broken China was initially written during the Division Bell, a lot of the instrumental stuff. So I guess it makes sense that some of this does kind of sound like it. Because, again, it was recorded around the same time. A lot of it, some stuff was added, later on, but it's decent. But this, again, this feels like another thing from Broken China. Eyes to Pearls, this is largely Dave and Nick. It almost feels like they're trying to fill time, which is really weird because Rick feels barely on it. So it's there. Surfacing feels like a pulls apart companion piece, which almost would have worked, better in the middle section of that song with like the church organ, and where it gets, a little bit ambient, like that interlude in the middle of Pulls Apart. So like I feel like that almost would have worked better, but the Division Bell's pretty much perfect the way it is. So like that's how I'm gonna leave it. Yeah. And then the final song on the album, Louder Than Words. This song is very contentious within the Floyd circles. Like, because some people will go, this is the worst song they ever wrote. And some people will be like, I mean, hey, you're only saying that because Pauly Samson wrote the lyrics. Like, I do think lyrically it's definitely not one of the... overall, I don't think it's, one of the better ones. I think it definitely goes on the lower, sections if I ever rank every individual Pink Floyd song, which is not going to happen. But if I ever decide to make, if I ever decided to make a list of top 10 Pink Floyd songs, this would not be on it. Not even close. I don't think this cracks the top 50. But it's, the lyrics aren't all that good, but I don't think they're the worst. But this is definitely Dave's most half-assed guitar solo. And, again, the lyrics, are very, very direct. It very directly gets to the theme of the album, which is we miss Rick, this thing that we do is, louder than words. This thing they call song, you can feel it in our pulse. which is a quote from the song, which is it's a good line, but you know, it takes a while to get there. Yeah, so definitely, Louder Than Words is definitely not the Floyd's best song. That being said, it's not their worst. This is neither more nor Ummagumma. I will talk more about, you know, where this album stands overall in the album standing when it comes to ranking them at the end of this project. Give it a listen. I do think it's worth a listen. You know, after I listen to it, you know, I don't, like, while I'm listening to it, I'm like, hey, this sounds, you know, pretty cool. But afterwards, I'm like I don't feel musically fulfilled. Like, I feel like I have to put, you know, something else on after this. So, like, but, you know, I do think it is worth your time. I do think it is worth the 53 minutes that it would take to listen to it. Just, you know, find it. I'm sure you can find it. Well, no, I know you can find it. It's not difficult. But definitely give it a listen. I'm going to talk about the album cover, because I don't own this album, but I think it's only proper to talk about the final Pink Floyd album cover. It was once again designed by Hypnosis. It was the first after the death of Storm Thorgerson in, I believe, 2013. And it's just a guy rowing away on a boat in, you know, the clouds, you know, which is, like, I guess it's supposed to be Rick sailing away into, you know, the sunset, into the afterlife. And it fits the album. It does kind of fit into the Floyd iconography. So I do think that this album is, you know, worth your time. There was, you know, a point where I was just like, oh, no, the Division Bell is the final Floyd album. This is an epilogue. Like, and I do kind of still think that, but not with as much contempt for this album. Like, again, you know, the album's good. It's got a few standout moments on it, but you're not going to feel super musically fulfilled by it if you're a Floyd fan. But that's my verdict. And yeah, that's where the story of the Floyd concludes. There would be no tour. There would be no live performance. There would be no late night TV appearances. There would be an EPK on the Floyd's YouTube channel, and that would be it. So, yeah. Kind of disappointing, but at the same time, I'm not going to complain. So, yeah. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like on it. If you have something to add, please do so in the comment section below. If you would like to, you know, join me for the last 2 weeks here of the Pink Floyd Completion Project, you can, you know, please feel free to subscribe if you want to. Also, if you want to see if I do anything after this, which I likely will, after this project is done. Yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like on it. I already did that bit. If you want to hear me talk about something other than music, I have a podcast with two of my buddies. It's called Dorkies. I will link the most recent episode of that in the description below. And if you want to hear what I happen to be listening to that day, or a 15-second segment at least, you can follow me on Instagram at Sean_Heaster1979. I post a 15-second segment of a song on my story there every single day. And with that, I would like to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one, which will be David Gilmour's 4th solo album, Rattle That Lock. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.